Okay, so we're going to be cutting out this horse using Quick Select. Quick Select is the second tool on the right, bundled with the magic wand. And we want to grab the horse, and then if you don't get all of it, because part of it's a little bit difficult, just be prepared to go back and fix it, and we'll do that. When you go to get the mane, get like about kind of midway through the mane. Don't try to get all of the really long straggly hairs like these hairs up here. Just ignore those. Those are really hard to do well. And then same thing with the tail. Get kind of the mid parts of the tail and avoid the pieces that really stick out far. If you need to, stick to a smaller brush for things like legs and ears. And remember, the brackets, the left and the right bracket, will make your brush bigger or smaller. Or of course you can adjust it right here as well. And once you get the horse selected, you can always, if as needed, here I kind of need to nudge the selection back so I don't have the background. So I'm going to use minus. See how that does? That's not going to work without grabbing my leg, or deselecting the leg. So I'm going to undo, Command Z, and instead I'll switch to the lassos. So I'll zoom in using the navigator and go to the parts I want to fix. So the regular lasso, using minus, I'll go and I'll just remove this part of the selection by circling the parts that I don't want. And some things are difficult to select if the edges don't show really crisp enough. It won't grab well. So here I'm gonna go in and add to the selection. So now I'm gonna circle around the parts I want to keep or put back, and I'll do that anywhere I need to. Just like we did on the grizzly bear. So you guys are going to be doing mythological creatures coming up, and it's possible that you might choose some that have long fur or fluffy fur, and in that instance it's a little bit tougher of a selection to do. So it's a good challenge, I think. This flowy mane and tail on this horse is what makes this one the challenge. So once you have it pretty well selected, then we're going to go and we're going to do, I'm just going to work on this just a little. We're going to do refine edge. And when you're in one of the select tools, refine edge is right here. If you're not in it, you won't see it, of course, but you can also get to it through here. So select, refine edge. And we want to, I should have probably zoomed out first because I want to see the whole horse. So I'm going to go ahead and say cancel. I'm going to do view, fit on screen. Then I'm going to do refine edge so that I can see it all. And when you have flowy fur or fluffy, fuzzy fur, the edge detection smart radius command is a good one. It's kind of a double-edged sword though, in that it will help with selecting things like this mane and tail, but it also will often ruin the rest of the selection. So generally you can't raise it up all the way without destroying the selection. So I would go maybe about to 8 or 9 or so. And notice even then, around some parts of the legs and around the horse's nose, it's kind of messed up that selection a little bit. That's okay, I can fix that. I can also improve the tail selection, and to do that you want to use this brush and you control it up here. So with the brush, you basically brush across parts that you want to grab more of. And I'm going to make the brush a little bigger. I'm using the right bracket. And I'm not going to go over it too much because it'll actually kind of ruin the selection. There's no way I'm going to get all the black grayish pixels out, but I can minimize them by going over it a few times. And then within the selection, I'm going to go with the eraser, and parts where my horse is kind of going away, I'm going to go across it a little bit more, and that's going to put back. Now it still probably won't be perfect, but since we're outputting to a layer mask, we'll be able to go and fix anything that's messed up. So you know the difference when you output, if you're outputting to a new layer, it's destroying the background pixels completely. They're gone. And there's not really any way to go back unless you undo the refine edge command. If you output it to a new layer with a layer mask, then the background information is all there. It's just hidden. And so that's best to do if you're going to need to go and fix things, right? Because then you still have the information. So I'm going to output, and notice in my layer panel, it's made a mask. Now notice the horse layer is selected, not the mask. So I don't want to paint, the black and the white paint. I want to be on the mask when I go to fix stuff. I'll zoom in now, and I'll move around, and I'll just fix anything that I need to fix. So remember, black hides the layer, white puts the layer back. So where I have some parts of my horse that are now hidden with my brush, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to make sure my brush is set so that the edge is a hard edge, not a fuzzed out edge, and I want 100% opacity. And I'll just go back and go over any part of that horse that's missing. So this all happened because of using that edge detection, because it's just, maybe it'll get better in the future, but it's just not a perfect tool. So then you end up having to go back and fix things. I lost some of my ear, so I'm going back and I'm fixing that. So all of that area, that, any area that's missing, of course. So white paint to put back, black paint to remove. You might have blacked out pixels hiding around some of that area, so you might need to use black to remove. Just make sure now, before you start masking, you have to be on the mask in the layer panel. I don't know why, by default you'd think it would have that selected, but it doesn't. It actually has the photograph and not the mask. So I'm not really going to go over the tail area too much. I could go in, of course, and I could hide any area that shouldn't really be there. And you can also work in, sometimes it's easier if you have small areas to draw them with the lasso first and then paint into them. That way you can be more precise. So I often will do that. I'll use both tools, both the lassos and the paintbrush, in connection with each other. So once you like the selection, you feel like it's looking pretty good, then the last part of this, we're just going to see how we did, and we're going to apply a background, and it's just a simple one. we're going to make a new empty layer. The copy layer button is also the new layer button, and all you do is click it. It's the button that's to the left of the trash can. And then I'm going to drag it so it's below the horse picture, and we're just going to fill it. You can fill it with solid black if you want, using the paint bucket that's bundled with the gradient tool. So it's the 6th tool down. You right click and you'll see it. So I could paint solid black, or you could get fancy if you want to and you want to try a gradient. And one way to do a gradient is you choose the colors here in the color picker. So say I wanted maybe dark blue. Go dark with this just because the horse has a lot of black pixels, so it'll look better if it's darker. And then maybe I wanted blue and I wanted the other color to be dark purple. Whatever colors are here are going to be in this upper left gradient, so I could choose that and I could throw that gradient down. And that's all there is to this one. It's just really refining a selection. So now you can save that one, last name, first name, EX11.